Women don't fall for a man by accident. There are specific triggers that switch something on inside them, and if you don't know these triggers, you will keep losing women you could have had. You know this feeling, my friend. You meet someone you genuinely like. You show interest. You try to be consistent. You try to be the good man she can trust. And somehow she slips away. The energy fades. The messages slow down. Meanwhile, she lights up for a guy who barely tries. It makes you question yourself, your value, even your masculinity. Not because you're weak, but because nobody ever taught you how female psychology actually works. Here's the part most men never hear: women respond to subtle psychological cues, not effort alone. They feel attraction long before they think attraction. And once you understand these triggers, everything changes. You stop chasing. You stop overgiving. You stop trying to convince her. Instead, you become the kind of man she naturally leans toward without understanding why. Today, we're breaking down the exact triggers that create that instant spark through Stoicism psychology and real masculine discipline, so you finally know what makes a woman feel pulled toward you instead of away from you. If you're ready to step into that version of yourself, make sure you subscribe so you don't miss what's coming next. Let's get into it. Number 1. Calm confidence that pulls her in. Look, my friend, every woman can feel the difference between a man who is centered and a man who is restless. Calm confidence is the first trigger because it reaches her before anything you say, before any charm you try, and before she even knows why she noticed you in the first place. Women in their 40s and 50s especially have lived enough life to see through fake bravado, loud personalities, and needy charm. What they respond to is a man whose energy says, "I'm good. I'm grounded. I choose you, but I do not need you." That is calm confidence, and it hits deeper than good looks ever will. Let me paint a real picture for you so you can see it clearly. Think about Thomas, 57, a project engineer from Arizona. After a rough divorce, he stepped back into dating with the same anxious energy most men carry. He talked too fast. He checked his phone too often. He tried hard to prove he was still desirable. Women liked him, but they didn't feel pulled in. Then he met Melissa, 54, an interior designer with a calm presence of her own. Thomas realized something: he didn't need to perform. He didn't need to fill every silence. He didn't need to rush his stories or over-explain his intentions. So for the first time in years, he slowed down. He let silences breathe. He listened instead of jumping in. His shoulders relaxed, his voice softened, and his energy settled. And Melissa felt it. She leaned in without thinking. She matched his tone. She began carrying the conversation forward. The difference wasn't magic. It was calm confidence replacing anxious effort. That's the power of this trigger. When a man is calm, a woman feels safe. When he is confident, she feels curious. But when he is calm and confident, something inside her softens in a way she cannot hide. Her guard drops. Her voice lowers. Her attention sharpens. She starts wondering about him without trying. Calm confidence creates a presence that lingers, and lingering is the birthplace of attraction. Here's what most men get wrong. They think confidence means being loud, dominant, or overly sure of themselves. But that's not confidence. That's compensation. Real confidence lives in how slowly you move, how steady you speak, how relaxed your body stays, and how little you need to prove. Women feel this on a biological level. A calm man signals control, maturity, and emotional leadership. A frantic man signals insecurity. And no matter how handsome he is, that insecurity pushes her away. Calm confidence also shows her something else: you're not afraid of the moment. You're not rushing to impress. You're not panicking because she's attractive. You're simply there, grounded in your own energy, letting the interaction unfold. This is rare for men over 40 because life wears them down. But when you reclaim this centeredness, it makes you stand out instantly. Melissa later told Thomas something powerful. You felt like a man who wasn't trying to win me. You were just being yourself, and that made me feel good around you. That's the essence of calm confidence. It doesn't force attraction. It creates the conditions where attraction grows naturally. If this hits you, drop a comment saying, "I stand firm." Hold tight, because what comes next deepens this dynamic in ways most men never experience. Number 2, selective attention that sparks desire. Here's the truth, folks. A woman does not fall for the man who gives her constant attention. She falls for the man who gives her the right kind of attention. Selective attention is one of the strongest psychological triggers because it creates a quiet tension inside her. She notices that you see her, but not in the way every other man does. You're not staring. You're not glued to her every move. You're not chasing validation. Instead, you choose your moments carefully, and those moments land with more weight than anything a needy man could ever give. Most men misunderstand this and assume that more attention equals more attraction. It doesn't. When you flood a woman with compliments, messages, or approval, she stops valuing it. It becomes background noise. But when your attention is intentional, reserved, and measured, it feels personal. It feels specific. It feels earned. And that, my friend, sparks desire. Stoicism captures this principle perfectly. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts." In relationships, your attention dyes your presence. If your attention is frantic, scattered, or desperate, she feels that energy instantly. But if your attention is calm, selective, and grounded, your presence becomes something she respects and desires. Selective attention tells her you are not a man who gives himself away cheaply. You are a man who observes, thinks, and chooses. Here's what selective attention actually looks like. You're fully present when you speak to her, but you don't chase her down with constant engagement. You notice small things, subtle things like her tone when she's being sincere, or the shift in her posture when she's comfortable, but you don't point out everything you see. You don't bombard her with reactions. You don't react instantly to every message. Instead, you give your attention in precise moments that feel meaningful. And this is where the psychological spark happens. She starts wondering what you notice about her. She starts thinking about what caught your attention. She tries to read your reactions. She begins to lean in slightly more, hoping to see how you respond. The mystery of your attention becomes a pull. Because unlike most men, you're not broadcasting your interest loudly. You're revealing it in controlled doses, and women find that irresistible. Selective attention also changes the dynamic of the interaction. When you're not always available, she becomes more intentional. When you don't respond immediately, she becomes more thoughtful. When you don't jump on every opportunity to impress her, she begins to pay closer attention to you. This is how you flip the polarity. You're no longer auditioning for her approval. She's investing in yours. Remember, this selective attention is not coldness. It's clarity. You're not ignoring her. You're not withholding. You're simply choosing not to give your energy to everything she does. You're signaling that your attention has value, that you are a man with focus, with standards, with inner discipline. And here's the secret most men never learn. Women desire what feels intentional. When she feels like you are paying attention because you want to, not because you need to, her attraction deepens. She starts to view your presence as something rare, something worth pursuing, something worth earning. If this resonates with you, drop a comment saying, "I choose wisely." Stay with me because the next insight sharpens your advantage in ways you won't expect. Number 3, emotional safety that opens her heart. You and I both know this, my friend. A woman may feel initial attraction through confidence or curiosity, but she only opens her heart when she feels emotionally safe around a man. Not weak safety, not soft apologetic safety. I'm talking about the kind of grounded masculine presence that makes her relax without even realizing it. Women in their 40s and 50s especially feel this difference instantly because they've lived through enough chaos, enough ego, enough emotional instability to know exactly what they do not want. Emotional safety is not about being her therapist or her sunshine. It's about being the man whose energy does not shake when life shakes her. Let me show you what this looks like in real life. Picture John, 58, a retired Air Force mechanic from Nevada. For years, he struggled with dating after his long-term relationship ended. He carried a quiet stiffness in his interactions, always worried about saying the right thing, always trying to fix everything women shared with him. Then he met Caroline, 56, a nurse who'd seen more emotional storms in her life than most people ever will. The first few times they went out, she talked about her stresses at work, the burnout, the frustration. Instead of jumping in with solutions like he used to, John just listened. He didn't interrupt. He didn't rush to defend himself or prove his worth. He nodded, asked 1 or 2 simple questions, and let her speak at her own pace. Caroline later told him, "I didn't feel judged. I didn't feel small. I felt like you actually heard me." That, my friend, is emotional safety. When a woman feels emotionally safe, a subtle shift happens in her body. Her shoulders drop, her breathing slows, her tone softens. She looks at you differently, not as someone she must perform for, but as someone she can be real with. That shift is the doorway to connection, and connection is where deeper attraction is born. Women don't fall for men they can't be themselves around. They fall for men whose presence makes their guard fall naturally. Here's what most men get wrong. They think emotional safety means being overly gentle or endlessly agreeable. But that's not it. Women don't want a man who collapses for them. They want a man who stays steady with them. Emotional safety is created through presence, not passivity. It's created when you don't get defensive at small moments, when you don't panic at silence, when you don't take her emotions personally, when you don't make her vulnerability about your ego. It's created when you show that you can handle a moment without losing yourself in it. John understood this eventually. Instead of reacting fast, he slowed down. Instead of jumping into advice, he let her finish a sentence fully. Instead of assuming she needed fixing, he gave her space to feel heard. And in return, Caroline opened up more than she had with anyone in years. She shared deeper worries, old memories, fears she'd kept to herself. And she said something that every man needs to understand. "When I talk to you, I feel like I can exhale." That is emotional safety. And when a woman feels that with you, her attraction is no longer surface level. It becomes personal, emotional, and lasting. If this speaks to you, drop a comment saying, "I give steadiness." Keep watching, because the insight ahead will shift how she perceives your value instantly. Number 4, the "I don't need you" attraction trigger. Let's be real, folks. This is the trigger that separates men, women alike from men women desire. Because nothing pulls a woman in faster than a man who is interested, but not dependent. A man who shows warmth, but not attachment. A man who enjoys her company, but does not lose himself trying to keep it. Most men never master this. They meet a woman they like and suddenly everything in their life tightens around her. Their schedule, their focus, their emotions, their sense of worth. And the moment she feels that shift, the attraction starts to die. Not because she's cold, not because she's cruel, but because dependency drains masculine energy. Women feel it immediately. Here's the truth most men avoid. A woman is drawn to a man who chooses her, not a man who needs her. There is a difference, and she feels it in seconds. Stoicism explains this better than modern dating advice ever could. Epictetus said, "You become enslaved to whatever you cannot live without." And my friend, nothing repels a woman faster than a man who looks enslaved by her attention, her replies, her approval. She wants a partner, not a hostage. She wants a man with direction and identity, not someone who collapses into her world because he has none of his own. The "I don't need you" trigger is not coldness. It's not emotional distance. It's stability. It's the signal that your life has weight, structure, and purpose outside of her. You have goals that existed before she arrived, and they will exist even if she walks away. That steadiness gives her something rare in today's world, a man she cannot control emotionally. Women do not want control. They want certainty. And a man who stands firm in his own life is the safest place she can land. Here's what this looks like in practice. You enjoy time with her, but you don't rearrange your entire schedule for every invitation. You text her back, but not with urgency that screams insecurity. You show interest, but you don't over-explain your intentions. You make time for her, but you don't abandon your responsibilities, your routines, or your mission. When she feels that your life doesn't crumble without her, something shifts inside her. Instead of wondering whether she should invest in you, she begins wondering how she can fit into your world. Instead of worrying you will cling to her, she starts leaning toward you. She respects you more. She trusts you more. She desires you more. Because in her mind, a man who doesn't need her is a man she can build with. This is why the "I don't need you" trigger is so powerful. It flips the emotional equation. You are no longer chasing her attention. She becomes curious about yours. She becomes aware of your absence. She begins to work for your presence. And that, my friend, is where attraction becomes real, not forced, not begged for, but earned. If this resonates with you, drop a comment saying, "I stay centered. Stick with me." Because the next shift elevates your entire masculine presence. And by the way, if you want the deeper advanced teachings I can't share publicly, consider joining the channel membership. You'll get exclusive lessons that sharpen your discipline and your relationships on a whole different level. Number 5. The emotional tease that ignites curiosity. Let's be honest, my friend. Women don't fall for men who dump all their emotions on the table at once. They fall for the man who gives just enough warmth to spark something inside them, and then pulls back at the perfect moment. That small rise and fall in emotional energy makes her wonder about you. It makes her replay what you said. It makes her lean forward, hoping for a little more. That is the emotional tease, and when you do it right, it creates curiosity that works in your favor every single time. Most men misunderstand teasing. They think it means withholding affection or playing cold games. That's not what I'm teaching you. Emotional teasing is about controlled warmth, small doses of connection that show interest without overwhelming her. Women in their 40s and 50s respond especially strongly to this because they've dealt with men on both extremes. The ones who come on too strong feel suffocating. The ones who stay too distant feel uninterested. A man who knows how to give warmth and then relax again, that's the man she remembers. Let me bring this to life with a real example. Picture Robert, 54, a real estate broker from Ohio. After years of dating, he always made the same mistake every time he liked a woman. He opened up too fast. He poured out compliments, shared long stories, and tried to bond instantly. Women appreciated the effort, but they never felt the spark. Then he met Jenna, 52, a marketing specialist with a sharp mind and a calm way of reading people. Robert decided to try something different. When she made a clever joke, he gave her a slow smile, held eye contact for a second longer than usual, then shifted the conversation. When she complimented his work ethic, he thanked her warmly, then asked her a thoughtful question instead of flirting more. These tiny emotional peaks, followed by a return to calm presence, created a rhythm that pulled her in. Jenna later admitted, "I couldn't figure you out. You gave me just enough to keep thinking about you." That's the magic of emotional teasing. It lets her imagination do half the work. You're not withholding, you're pacing the emotional energy, so she feels anticipation instead of pressure. She feels your interest, but she isn't flooded by it. She senses attraction, but she has space to feel it on her own terms. Here's the deeper psychology behind it. A woman becomes curious when she can't predict every emotional move you make. When your warmth feels genuine instead of performative. When your attention feels intentional instead of needy. When she feels something in the moment and then suddenly wants more of it. That craving is what creates emotional momentum. And emotional momentum, not intensity, is what makes her fall. The emotional tease works because it communicates three things at once. You enjoy her. You notice her. But you're not driven by her. That balance is irresistible. It gives her space to invest emotionally without feeling overwhelmed. It makes her feel like she's discovering you, not being sold on you. And when a woman feels like she's discovering a man, her attraction grows naturally. Robert understood this eventually. He stopped pushing for instant connection and started letting tension build slowly. His interactions became lighter, steadier, more intentional. And because of that, Jenna leaned in emotionally before she even realized she was doing it. If this feels true to you, drop a comment saying, "I spark curiosity." Don't go anywhere because what comes next strengthens your entire presence in ways most men overlook. Number 6. Silent masculine presence she feels instantly. Let's get straight to it, my friend. A woman feels your presence before she feels your personality, your humor, or your charm. Presence hits first. Presence hits deeper. And presence hits in a language her body understands long before her mind catches up. Silent masculine presence is one of the strongest attraction triggers because it carries weight without noise, strength without aggression, and confidence without performance. Women in their 40s and 50s sense it instantly because life has already exposed them to men who talk big but crumble fast. Silent presence is not about being mysterious for the sake of mystery. It's about the energy you carry when you walk into a room. It's the steadiness in your movements, the patience in your breathing, the calm behind your expression. You're not rushing. You're not seeking approval. You're not competing for attention. You're simply grounded, and that grounded energy creates a gravitational pull she can feel without understanding why. Stoicism captures this principle beautifully. Marcus Aurelius said, "The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts." When your internal world is calm, centered, and disciplined, your external presence reflects that same quality. Your silence isn't emptiness. It's composure. It tells her that you're a man who doesn't react to every emotion, every distraction, every shift in the atmosphere. And believe me, women notice that faster than anything else. Silent masculine presence shows up in the way you listen, not with impatience, not with interruption, but with real attention. It shows in the way your posture stays relaxed instead of tight. It shows in the steady tone of your voice, the slow pace of your gestures, the controlled way you hold eye contact. You're not trying to dominate the space, you're simply comfortable in it. That comfort is what makes her lean toward you. Most men do the opposite. They overtalk, over-explain, over-perform. They spill nervous energy everywhere because they think silence is awkward or weak. But silence, when paired with confidence, becomes tension. The good kind. The kind that makes her curious. The kind that makes her watch you more closely. The kind that makes her wonder what's behind your calm eyes and measured presence. Here's the deeper psychology behind this. When a woman senses your silent strength, she evaluates you differently. You become the man who doesn't need to prove himself. You become the man who can handle pressure without breaking. You become the man who can lead without shouting. Women have an instinct for this, especially mature women. They can spot insecurity in seconds. They can spot ego in minutes. But a man with quiet control, that's rare, that's valuable, and that's attractive. Silent presence also communicates that your identity doesn't hinge on her reaction. You like her, sure, but you don't collapse emotionally if she doesn't respond the way you expect. That emotional independence is a powerful trigger because it signals depth, discipline, and self-respect. She feels safer around a man who isn't shaped by external chaos. And remember, this silent presence is not emotional coldness. It's emotional management. You're not shutting down. You're staying centered. You're not running from connection. You're letting connection form naturally without pushing it. That restraint makes your presence heavier, more memorable, more masculine. If this clicks for you, drop a comment saying, "I stay steady." Stick with me because the next shift flips the entire dynamic in your favor. Number 7. The challenge that makes her chase you. Let's be real, my friend. A woman does not chase a man because he is nice, available, or endlessly accommodating. She chases a man she feels she has to earn. Not through games, not through manipulation, but through standards. When a man has a strong sense of self, a direction in life, and the backbone to hold his boundaries, he becomes a challenge in the way mature women actually respect. And the moment she feels that challenge, something inside her wakes up. To make this real for you, let me give you a grounded example. Picture Michael, 56, a commercial construction manager from Texas. For most of his life, he did what many men do when they meet someone they find attractive. He became overly available. If a woman texted him, he replied instantly. If she hinted at plans, he rearranged his schedule. If she flirted, he responded like a man afraid to lose momentum. And women liked him at first. But then things faded because he gave away his value without requiring anything in return. Then came Laura, 53, a high-level HR director, with sharp instincts and a calm confidence of her own. When they met, she was used to men bending around her life, catering to her attention, handing over their time like it cost nothing. But Michael took a different approach. The first time she invited him out spontaneously, he smiled and said, "I'd like to, but I've got plans I keep." Not cold, not arrogant, just a man with a life. The first time she teased him to get a reaction, he didn't overreact, he simply raised an eyebrow and changed the subject. And the first time she pushed for validation, he didn't give it on demand. He stayed warm, but he didn't fold. For the first time in years, Laura felt something she didn't expect: interest mixed with effort. She leaned in more. She asked more questions. She initiated conversations. She showed up on time. Not because he played games, but because he held his standards with calm confidence. That's what a real challenge looks like. A challenge is not resistance or emotional distance. It's clarity. It's a man who doesn't let attraction override his values. It's a man who doesn't reward attention that's inconsistent, disrespectful, or shallow. It's a man who gives his time to a woman who shows genuine effort, not just convenience. Here's why this sparks attraction. When a woman senses you're not desperate for her approval, she becomes curious about you. When she senses she can't move you easily, she becomes invested. When she realizes your attention must be earned, she rises to meet your standard. Mature women respect men who maintain their identity. They respect men who don't fold when they're tested. They respect men who know what they want and won't shrink to impress anyone. Michael didn't become colder. He became clearer. And as he held his frame, Laura stepped closer, not because he pushed, but because he didn't. He allowed her to participate in the attraction instead of carrying it for both of them. And here's the truth: a woman values what she invests in. When she invests emotionally, mentally, and through effort, she becomes more connected. The challenge isn't about making her chase just to boost your ego. It's about ensuring the attraction grows on both sides, not just yours. If this hits home, drop a comment saying, "I raise standards." Stay with me because the next insight brings out a different layer of desire she rarely experiences. Number 8. Emotional contrast that excites her. Here's something most men never figure out, my friend. A woman doesn't fall for a man who feels one-dimensional. She doesn't connect deeply with the guy who is always serious, always soft, always intense, or always joking. What excites her is contrast, emotional contrast. The subtle shifts in your energy that reveal different sides of you without losing your center. This contrast makes you feel more human, more dynamic, and more memorable. And women in their 40s and 50s respond to it even more strongly because they've lived long enough to recognize emotional flatness immediately. Emotional contrast is not inconsistency, it's depth. It's the ability to be calm and steady, and still warm when it matters. It's the ability to be composed, and still laugh when something is genuinely funny. It's the ability to be firm, and still show gentleness in specific moments. This duality creates a rhythm in the interaction, a natural rise and fall, like a conversation with texture instead of a monotone script. Stoicism speaks directly to this. Seneca once said, "The mind that is anxious about future events is miserable." Emotional contrast exists because you aren't trapped in any single emotional state. You're not anxious about holding an image. You're not trying to prove you're always tough. You're not forcing yourself into a permanent role. Instead, you're grounded enough to shift naturally, calm enough to be present, strong enough to soften, secure enough to let a moment breathe without hiding behind intensity or detachment. Women notice this immediately. When you're calm and composed, she feels safe. When you show a moment of warmth, she feels chosen. When you hold a firm boundary, she feels respect. When you show humor at the right time, she feels chemistry. These changes in energy make her react on multiple emotional frequencies instead of just one, and that's what creates excitement, not chaos, but movement. Here's where most men go wrong. They pick one emotional lane and never leave it. The funny guy who can't be serious. The serious guy who never lightens up. The calm guy who never shows spark. The romantic guy who suffocates the interaction with intensity. None of these create attraction on their own. They need contrast. Women need to feel different states around you to stay engaged. Not because they're dramatic, but because emotional texture makes you more real and more compelling. Emotional contrast also tells her something powerful: you're not performing. You're simply showing up fully. You're not hiding behind one identity. You're not faking consistency. You're not rigid or predictable. You're present. And presence naturally shifts with the moment. When a woman experiences emotional contrast with you, she feels connected, curious, comfortable, and excited, all without you forcing anything. This is the subtle emotional roller coaster she actually enjoys, because it's authentic and masculine, not chaotic or manipulative. The Stoics believed in mastery, not monotony, control, not suppression. You living with emotional contrast means you control your state without shrinking it. You lead the moment without smothering it. You express without losing your center. That's the kind of man a woman trusts, and the kind she desires. If this resonates, drop a comment saying, "I carry depth." Keep watching, because the next insight taps into a level of attraction most men never reach. Number 9. Self-control that intensifies her attraction. Let's be honest, my friend. A woman may feel interest in many men, but she only feels deep attraction toward the man who can control himself. Self-control is one of the strongest masculine signals because it shows discipline, maturity, and emotional strength without you ever needing to say a word. Women in their 40s and 50s feel this instantly. They've lived long enough to know the difference between a man who can lead himself and a man who gets pulled around by his impulses. Self-control is not about being cold. It's not about being distant. It's about being unmoved by chaos, unshaken by temptation, and uncontrolled by emotion. That steadiness makes her feel something inside her body she cannot deny, safety mixed with desire. Let me show you how this plays out in real life. Picture David, 57, an accountant from Washington. After ending a long marriage, he started dating again, with the same pattern many men fall into. Whenever he felt chemistry, he rushed. He texted too quickly. He opened up too much. He reacted emotionally to every shift in tone or timing. Women liked him, but they didn't feel drawn in. Then he met Linda, 55, a school administrator, with a calm, confident nature. This time, David did something different. When she took a little longer to respond, he didn't panic. When conversations shifted, he didn't chase clarity. When he felt excitement, he didn't unload everything at once. He kept his composure. He allowed the pace to unfold naturally. And because of that, Linda felt more attracted, not less. His self-control made him feel like a man who wasn't carried away by emotion, but guided it with intention. That's the key. A woman watches how you handle your emotions far more than what you say about them. If you get jealous easily, she pulls back. If you get frustrated quickly, she tenses. If you push for reassurance, she loses interest. But when you stay centered, when you choose your responses instead of reacting impulsively, she feels something rare, trust. Stoicism explains this beautifully. Epictetus said, "No man is free who is not master of himself." Self-control is freedom. Freedom from emotional overreactions. Freedom from insecurity. Freedom from needing constant validation. And women feel that freedom as strength. Self-control shows up in many forms. It's the way you hold your boundaries without raising your voice. It's the way you resist the urge to overshare just because the moment feels good. It's the way you stay calm when she tests your composure. It's the way you take interest in her without becoming consumed by her. A man who cannot regulate himself becomes a burden. A man who can regulate himself becomes a foundation. Women don't want a man they have to emotionally manage. They want a man whose stability they can relax into. David learned this as his connection with Linda grew. She opened up more. She leaned in more. She felt safe expressing herself because he didn't react with judgment or insecurity. And the more she trusted his self-control, the deeper her attraction became. Self-control intensifies attraction because it tells her she's dealing with a man who thinks clearly, loves intentionally, and moves deliberately. A man who doesn't need the moment to go perfectly to stay grounded. If this speaks to you, drop a comment saying, "I stay in control." Stay with me because what comes next ties all of these triggers together in a powerful way. Number 10. Purpose-driven energy she cannot resist. Let's talk about the deeper layer most men never reach, my friend. Everything we've covered so far creates attraction, curiosity, desire. But purpose is what makes a woman take a man seriously. Purpose-driven energy is the signal that you're not drifting through life, not waiting for someone to complete you, and not shaping your identity around whether a woman chooses you. You stand for something. You're building something. You wake up with direction, and you move with intention. That energy changes the way a woman experiences you long before either of you realizes what's happening. Purpose isn't about being rich. It isn't about status. It isn't about having a glamorous life. Women, especially in their 40s and 50s, don't need a man with luxury. They need a man with direction. A man who knows where he's going and doesn't abandon that path just because someone attractive steps into his life. That steadiness becomes magnetic. Here's something most men overlook. When you don't have purpose, you unconsciously make the woman the purpose. You start tying your mood to her responses. You start adjusting your life to her availability. You start waiting for her attention to feel good about yourself. And the moment she feels that shift, she loses trust. Not because she's selfish, but because she cannot rely on a man who relies on her for direction. She wants to join a man's life, not lead it for him. Purpose-driven energy creates emotional structure. It shows in how you talk about your work, your routines, your projects, your goals, big or small. It shows in the way you protect your time, not out of ego, but out of commitment. It shows in the way you stay disciplined, even when life gets heavy. When she sees that you don't crumble under stress or abandon your path because something easier, lighter, or more exciting appears, she feels something powerful, respect. And without respect, attraction cannot survive. Stoicism explains why purpose matters so deeply. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Waste no more time arguing what a good man should be. Be one." Purpose is you living that truth. You're not performing masculinity. You're not pretending to be strong. You're not announcing what you plan to do someday. You're already walking the path. Women feel this instantly in your tone, your posture, your decisions, your presence. You become the man whose life has momentum, and momentum is attractive. Purpose-driven energy also changes the way you interact with women. You stop seeking validation because your mission validates you. You stop fearing rejection because rejection doesn't shake your identity. You stop over-investing early because your life is full, not empty. You communicate differently. You move differently. You hold yourself differently. And she feels that difference every time she's near you. Here's the part men rarely understand. Purpose makes you more selective. Not picky, but precise. You choose women who add peace, not problems. You choose connection that aligns with your values, not temporary distraction. You choose relationships that enhance your mission, not derail it. And this selectiveness makes you even more attractive because a woman realizes she wasn't chosen out of loneliness. She was chosen out of alignment. Purpose-driven energy is the final trigger because it tells her the truth about you. You're not a man looking for meaning through her. You're a man bringing meaning into her life. You're not searching for someone to complete you. You're inviting someone to join you. That energy is rare. It's masculine. And it's the kind of energy a woman cannot resist, not because you're forcing attraction, but because you're living in a way that naturally commands it. That's the final layer, my friend. Purpose is the foundation that holds everything else together. It's not a performance. It's who you are. That's it, my friend. Today you learned the real psychological triggers that make a woman feel drawn to you instantly, not because you chase, not because you perform, but because you show depth, control, presence, and purpose. If you apply even a few of these triggers, you'll stop wondering why attraction fades and start becoming the kind of man a woman naturally invests in. If you want the deeper lessons I can't share publicly, join the channel membership. And if you want more content like this every day, make sure you hit subscribe so you never miss what's coming next. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you tomorrow.